Picture this. It's 50,000 years ago, and the sun is going down. For the next 12 hours, in the dark, you are not the most dangerous thing on this landscape. You are food. This was the world every single one of your ancestors survived, and the fears it carved into them are still running, right now, behind your eyes. So here's a question that sounds simple, and isn't. What did ancient humans fear the most? Because the honest answer is not the lion, or the dark, or even death. It's something much stranger, and you feel it every single day. First, forget the idea that fear is weakness. For almost all of human history, fear was a tool, maybe the most important survival tool your species ever had. Every ancestor who lived long enough to pass on their genes was, in a sense, an expert at being afraid of exactly the right things. So, when we ask what they feared, we're really asking a colder question. What was actually most likely to kill them? And the answer comes in layers, each one stranger than the last. Start with the obvious: predators and the dark that hid them. At night, a human is nearly blind, while a leopard or a hyena sees just fine. So our ancestors did something no other animal could. They sat inside a ring of firelight. The earliest solid evidence of humans controlling fire, at Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, dates to roughly 1 million years ago, and that little circle of light, maybe 30 feet across, was the difference between sleeping and being eaten. Anthropologists who study the last remaining hunter-gatherer groups have even documented that people who wander away from the fire at night are far more likely to be killed by predators, still today. That fear went so deep that it's now built in. The psychologist Vanessa Lobu has shown that young children spot a snake in a picture faster than they spot a flower, before anyone ever teaches them to. You didn't learn to flinch in the dark. You were born already nervous. But that's the shallow layer. Because the thing that killed the most ancient humans wasn't something with teeth. It was something they couldn't even see. A healthy hunter scratches his leg. 2 days later, fever. On the 4th day, he's gone, and nobody, anywhere, knows why. Ancient humans had no concept of germs, so to them, an invisible thing was reaching into the group and taking people at random. And we still carry the defense it built: disgust. That wave of revulsion at rot, at waste, at sickness. Researchers like Valerie Curtis have argued it isn't really squeamishness at all. It's an immune system you wear on the outside, evolved to pull you away from the things most likely to infect you. And when the invisible thing won, when a body went cold and still, it created a brand new kind of terror. Where did the person go? And could whatever took them come back for you? This fear is so old that we can actually dig it up. At sites like Qafzeh Cave, we find bodies from around 100,000 years ago, laid out on purpose, sprinkled with red ochre, sometimes with tools or antlers placed carefully on top. Those first burials weren't only grief. They were our ancestors inventing a way to face the unthinkable. And then there is the fear that's hardest to admit. For a lot of ancient humans, the deadliest predator on Earth wasn't an animal at all. It was another human. The archaeology here is brutal and clear. At a place called Nataruk, on the shore of an ancient lake in Kenya, researchers uncovered the remains of 27 people from about 10,000 years ago, including pregnant women and children, with shattered skulls and obsidian blades still lodged in the bone. It is one of the earliest hard records we have of one group of humans massacring another. And Nataruk is not alone. At Jebel Sahaba, in the Nile Valley, there's a cemetery more than 13,000 years old, where many of the bodies still carry stone projectile points driven into them. Organized, lethal violence between groups is older than farming, older than cities, older than writing itself. So a stranger on the horizon was a coin flip, trade and friendship, or a raid that ended your entire world by morning, and from a distance, you could not tell which one was walking toward you. The safe bet, the bet that kept your genes alive, was to fear the outsider first and ask questions later. That ancient us versus them reflex kept your ancestors breathing. It also still sits inside all of us, causing no end of trouble in a world full of strangers who mostly just want to get past us on the sidewalk. But here is the strange part. Predators, plague, the dead, even violent strangers. None of them is the real answer, because underneath every single one of those fears sits a deeper one. And it is the fear that still quietly runs your life today, being cast out by your own people. Think about what alone actually meant back then. Alone, you couldn't bring down big game, or stay awake all night to watch for predators, or survive a broken leg, because there was no one to carry you water while it slowly healed. The group was your roof, your weapon, your hospital, and your food supply, all at once. Which means the most terrifying thing that could possibly happen to you was not an attack, it was exile. Being told, you are no longer one of us, walk away. In that world, that was not a punishment. It was a death sentence with a delay on it. So evolution did something clever and a little bit cruel. It made being rejected hurt, physically. In 2003, the neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger ran a now famous experiment. She put people inside a brain scanner and had them play a simple online ball game, and then had the other players freeze them out, leaving them to watch. The moment they were excluded, the scan lit up the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that registers physical pain. Your brain processes being left out using the very same circuitry as a broken bone. And it goes further. In 2010, the psychologist Nathan DeWall found that giving people acetaminophen, an ordinary over-the-counter painkiller, measurably reduced their feelings of social rejection. A pill for a headache quietly dulls heartbreak, because to your nervous system, they are almost the same wound. Belonging, as the psychologists Baumeister and Leary put it, is not a luxury. It is a need as deep as hunger. And this is not just ancient wiring with no teeth left in it. In 2010, a sweeping review led by the researcher Julianne Holt-Lunstad found that weak social connection raises your risk of dying early by about as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Loneliness, it turns out, is still a survival threat. Your body was right to be afraid, because the humans who felt that sting and rushed to fix it stayed inside the group and lived. The ones who shrugged and wandered off alone simply vanished from the family tree, which is exactly why this ancient history is really about you. Right now, sitting somewhere safe, behind a locked door, with a fridge full of food that no lion is ever going to raid. That old fear never left. It is why a single cruel comment can outweigh 100 kind ones. It is why your heart can pound before you speak in a room full of people, as though the real danger isn't an awkward silence, but being pushed back out into the dark, alone, where the things with the good night vision are waiting. You are not weak for caring what people think. You are running very, very old software, written back when fitting in really was the difference between life and death. The lions are gone. The long dark is gone. Nothing out there is coming for you tonight. But the part of you that remembers all of it never quite got the message. It's still standing watch at the edge of a fire that went out 50,000 years ago. And in a strange way, that quiet, stubborn fear of being left behind is the oldest piece of you there is. The one thing you still share with every human who ever sat in the dark, looked up at the stars, and was afraid.